A big hello and a very warm welcome to a special show called Bread Brouhaha. I'm Sonali Krishna. Now, news that has taken center stage today is all about bread. That's correct. First noodles and now it's bread. So let me first get you up to speed with what the news is for today. A recent study or a new study released by the Center for Science and Environment, CSE, today claimed that many brands of packaged bread and the bread used in ready-to-eat burgers and pizzas contain toxic chemicals which could probably cause cancer. Now, clearly such a report sent all the listed companies from Britannia to Jubilant Foods to crash. According to CSE, its pollution monitoring laboratory tested 38 commonly available branded varieties of prepackaged bread, pav and buns, and the bread used in burgers and pizzas at popular fast food outlets in Delhi. So really, what was the problem? Traces of potassium bromate and iodate were found in the samples. Now, for the uninitiated, potassium bromate was very commonly used in the bread making process many years ago. However, if too much is added or the bread is not baked long enough or not at a high enough temperature, then a residual amount will remain, which may be harmful if consumed. However, in 1999, the International Agency for Research on Cancer classified potassium bromate as possibly carcinogenic or cancer-causing to humans. Now, potassium bromate has been banned by the EU, Canada, Australia, Japan, and many more countries. But it's important to note that it's permissible in India and it's also permissible in the US. Now, let me just get to the bottom of this grand finding by the CSE and what its implications will be. And to do that, I'm joined by none other than Chandra Bhushan, the Deputy Director General of CSE, Sunil Alagh, the former CEO of Britannia, and Mayank Shah, the Marketing Head of Parle. Thank you so much for joining me, gentlemen, right here on ET Now. Our first question to you, Mr. Chandra Bhushan. I really want to understand from you what triggered this study and who commissioned this study.
The study was done by us. The study is commissioned by CSE. Pollution Monitoring Lab is an independent lab done by CSE, and therefore everything in the study was done by CSE. Sample was collected by us, tested by us, reconfirmed by us, sent to a third-party lab for reconfirmation by us. So everything was done by us.
Right. But if you can just tell me, the fact that potassium bromate is something that, can cause cancer is not a new finding. I mean, countries that have banned it have done it as early as in the 90s. So what was the trigger to suddenly do a fresh round of research, do a fresh round of, food additive testing? There must have been some trigger for it because, the finding that this is present and it is finally, even the Food and Regulations Law, we have it as permissible in 50 ppm, is all known. So just I want to get an understanding as to why the research was done in the first place.
First of all, potassium bromate and iodate are used as flour treatment agent with an assumption that these residues will not be there in the final product. And that is the reason that across the world, these chemicals are being banned or have been banned. So the trigger for the study, first of all, was that we are one of the very few countries in the world who continue to allow potassium bromate and iodate as a flour treatment agent. And therefore, the study was to establish whether these residues of these two chemicals are there in the final product or not. If they are in the final product, and then there is more reason for us to ban these chemicals as fast as possible. So in Europe and other countries, it has been established that potassium bromate and iodate come in the final product, therefore they were banned. No such study was ever done in India, and therefore we did this study to establish that we are eating potassium bromate, residues of potassium bromate and iodate along with bread. Point number two, in 2012, Codex banned use of potassium bromate. Potassium iodate has been recommended not to be used in bread because it is likely to increase your intake of iodine and therefore increase the risk of thyroid related diseases. So bromate, we know, is a class 2B carcinogen, but more and more studies coming out which is saying that there is no need for us to have iodate in bread as well.
Right. I'm just going to get in, Mayank, as an industry stakeholder to give me his sense on, what he thinks of the CSE findings. Mayank, first noodles, now bread, God knows what other products under the scanner in the months to come. Are you in agreement with, the CSE findings and the way the FSSI and CSE have dealt with it, given the fact that, a lot of heat is on companies that are actually bread manufacturers, as we saw today in the stock market, and we saw those stocks tumble? And secondly, do you think it is the right way to deal with such an issue, given that it will not only send panic within the companies, but also with consumers at large? And let's not forget that bread is a very commonly consumed item in India.
Yeah. So firstly, I mean, I'll answer this in two parts. Firstly, if you're talking about, whether, this is right or not, I think consumer first, okay? The sole purpose of all of our existence is consumer. So I think if it's harming consumers, I don't see any reason why this is wrong. And whatever they are doing, I mean, CSE, whatever it's doing is right. Or FSSI, if it's acting on it, it's right. There is nothing to question there. That's one. Secondly, probably the way of doing it, yeah, that can be probably questionable, or we can debate that how should one deal with this kind of an issue. But in principle, if we are talking about, whether we should take up this kind of issues or not, I don't see any reason why we should not be, because as I earlier also said, consumer first, the sole reason for our existence is consumers, is to serve consumers. So I think, I see no reason why we should not be taking up this kind of issues.
Okay, so I mean, let me go on to a larger question, and feel free to jump in, Mr. Chandra Bhushan. Please feel free to jump in if you have a point to make. Don't you think by not consulting your stakeholders, because correct me if I'm wrong, this finding, while you shared it with FSSAI, was this finding actually discussed with the industry stakeholders? Did you have a conversation with them saying, while it is currently permissible, we don't think that is the right way to go. We think that, you guys should not be using potassium bromate, and we would like to phase it out and give them a chance to A, respond, and B, give them a transition phase, so that, not everybody just flies off the radar and is not stressed out. Mayank?
First of all, we went through extensive round of consultation. In September itself, as you know, we started the study in May, June 2015. In September, we went back to industry with a series of question asking them how they can phase this chemical out, whether they're using it or not. Then in April, just before releasing the study, we again went back to the companies. And some companies did respond. We have put their response on our website. Britannia, for example, wrote back to us saying that they do not think that they use potassium bromate and iodate. Yum brand came back to us, but many more companies didn't respond to us. So as far as consultation is concerned, we went through a detailed 2 rounds of consultation, both with FSSAI as well as with industry, and we have put all the information in the public domain. So we have been very responsible as far as consultation is concerned. Other thing is, there is a difference between what you call it as panic, we call it as awareness raising. It's important that issues of public health are brought in front of the people and discussed with people. At the end of the day, as Mayank said, if it is consumer first, public health first, and information needs to be provided to people. So please don't take it as that the intention is to create panic. Intention is to make consumers more aware, tell consumers what is wrong with food, how they can exert their right, so that overall food quality is improved across the country.
Tell me something, why, when this information was known for, let's say, close to 2 decades, why is it that, I mean, and this is not personal to you, but as CSE and FSSAI jointly, not to you personally, so don't get me wrong, why is it that we decided to do our testing on bread in 2016?
I think this, we thought that this is an important issue to raise. FSSAI was not taking action. As I said, in 2012, Codex made this chemical illegal. We were finding that the issues of thyroid is becoming very, very important, especially in middle-aged women, and we wanted to see how much potassium iodate is coming from bread. So there was a number of things which came together. One, that the action was not being taken by FSSAI, that we were not seeing action from industry, and therefore we thought, let's do the test and establish the fact that this chemical is there in the final product and it should be there. And other issue is there are alternatives available.
Fair enough.
And alternatives are economically viable.
Got it. Let me come to you, Mayank, and please tell me that, do you think, while I know that you're not a bread manufacturer, so, but, as somebody who's in the food space and is equally vulnerable, because who knows what will be under the scanner next, would you say that the way the CSE and, of course, an FSSA has adopted their findings and has come to a conclusion that they are going to be removing potassium bromate as part of the permissible items, in a week or two, would you say that the way, these bodies have gone doing their business is acceptable?
Rather than, saying whether that's acceptable or not, I would, talk about our line of thinking. My personal line of thinking is the way, our laws are, we have been always advocating for laws which are relatively, liberal in the sense, you don't go down to the T and define each and everything. Because what happens is, the list of ingredients are exhaustive. You can use many things. Now, let's say, rather than saying what all things can only be used, it's better to say what things cannot be used. Okay? And then there has to be an end to that, list also. So, what really is essential is self-regulation in this industry rather than anything else. So, I honestly respect law that way when they are saying that 50 ppm is the maximum permissible limit. Now, it is up to the companies to regulate themselves, self-regulate themselves and ensure that, potassium bromate is converted to bromide and that, they don't breach that permissible limit. So, ideally, I think, rather than how they are going about it or whatever, I think it's more important. The way law is shaping up, I think is welcome because, rather than being very particular about what all things can only be included in the product, you have to give way or, leeway for innovation. You have to give, free hand for innovation. If you don't try out alternates, there is no way you will be able to come up with new products or innovative products. Now, you are hampering innovation by doing that. So, rather than saying these are the only things that you can use, if you say these are the things that cannot be used and have a list of it, and, if at all certain things are to be used in a particular, proportion or, permissible limits are set for that, I think that's a better way of doing it. And then it is up to the companies to self-regulate themselves.
So, Mayank, if I've not got you wrong, and, Chandra Bhushan, if you can also, I'm going to bring you in next. So basically, Mayank is saying that the industry would prefer self-regulation as opposed to enforcement, and of course, a list of directives that needs to be followed, and as responsible companies, they will adhere to it. I think the US has also done the same when it comes to this particular issue of potassium bromate and potassium iodate. They also have tried and encouraged self-regulation, and there is no rule or law passed. Would you be in agreement with such a rule instead of just completely saying that, from next week or in the next 15 days, this is a banned item while for bread? It's to you, Chandra Bhushan.
First of all, I don't think there is anything wrong in banning potassium bromate. In fact, it's a welcome step. A lot of companies have come back to us saying that, this chemical is not required. In fact, companies have told us, many companies have written to us that they get assurance from their supplier that potassium bromate will not be used. So as far as potassium bromate is concerned, there is unanimity even in the industry that this is a chemical that shouldn't be used. So I do not see any problem in banning this chemical because industry is very forthcoming on this issue. As far as iodate is concerned, FSSAI has said that it is going to investigate the issue. We will work with FSSAI. I think industry has to be responsible, recognizing the fact that our intake of iodine, at one point of time we were iodine deficient country, but with increasing use of processed food, more and more use of salt and additives of iodine in bread, industry has to come out and support that there is no need for even potassium iodate use in bread, and work with FSSAI to come out with a responsible standard. So I think we all should be on the same page as far as food safety is concerned. It is an industry interest that safe food is there and consumer confidence is there. It is in the interest of FSSAI that better regulation is in place. As Mayank said, there should be innovation and industry should be made more responsible. And as far as CSE is concerned, we are on the same page. We are working for protection of environment and public health.
Let me just bring in Sunil Alagh, and Sunil is really a stalwart in the foods industry. Now, Sunil, you've been following this discussion and, of course, this news since the morning. Give me your sense. What do you think is going on with the CSE and the FSSAI? Of course, I mean, while the intent is noble, would you say that the way the way it is coming across to? Okay, I think I've lost Sunil. I don't think he can hear me. Sunil, so let me bring it to you, Mayank. Do you think the industry is looking at both the CSE and the FSSAI as people who they collaborate with, as partners in their business, or are they suddenly coming across as the enemy, as somebody you have to be wary of? Correct me if I'm wrong, but after the noodles fiasco, this is what people seem to be looking at the FSSAI and the CSE as bodies that they need to be very, very careful of. So there doesn't seem to be a very transparent dialogue because nobody wants to get into a big issue tomorrow. Sunil, are you there? Can you hear me? You're laughing.
I can hear you now. I really feel that I think they are unnecessarily, when I say unnecessarily, because in Britannia we stopped using this particular ingredient in 1995 of our own, okay? That's a separate story altogether. But when people say that we are not alarming consumers, we are keeping consumers' interests in mind, they have already alarmed millions in India by coming out with this note, because at this point of time to say this is carcinogenic without saying how much goes into bread, what is the amount that should be allowed? If America is already doing it, has anyone checked the American breads? It's very easy to ask somebody to say, what is the report in America? If our levels are the same as Americans, then obviously they are right to the extent that this could cause cancer. How many slices of bread do you have to eat for how many years before it has impact? Because by now, if they are right, then over the years, people are eating this every single day. I don't know how many people would have become cancerous by now. So all I'm saying is they are right to the extent they should have changed the laws and just gone ahead and told everybody, please stop using it from now on. Fine, great, nobody would have got alarmed. Now, everybody who's been consuming bread for the last 50 years without any problems is going to wonder, what the hell have they been eating? So these young scientists are right, technically, but I don't think they understand the alarm they create in a country by just raising the issue in the public domain, and now everybody is scared of eating bread. So all I'm saying is, if America allows it, they're not a silly country. Europe doesn't allow it, fine. If America allows it, have they got in touch with Americans? Have they got in touch with the scientists there to say, since you're doing it, what are the permissible limits? No, they haven't. I'm sure they haven't. I'd like to ask the gentleman across who's done
Chandra
all
Bhushan,
this, who says Europe has banned it. So I'm going to make this notice public. You do alarm people. You do alarm people, without any purpose.
First of all, I would completely disagree with that. The idea is to put information in public domain. Okay. Now you call it as alarming people, we call it as increasing awareness. In India, we are going to eat more and more processed food. People need to be aware about what they are eating. They need to understand what is written on labels. So as far as we are concerned, it is our legitimate right as a research and public interest institution to increase awareness of people on both environmental pollution as well as on food safety issues. Coming back to America is using it, I think the gentleman should know that there is a legal loophole why America cannot ban potassium bromate. As far as different states of America is concerned, California, for example, very clearly says that you not only have to say that you are using potassium bromate, you have to say that this is a cancer-causing agent. And FDA has gone ahead to tell all the bread manufacturers and bakery industry that they should, on their own, reduce and remove use of potassium bromate. So there is a legal loophole on cancer, definition of cancer-causing chemical, why potassium bromate has not been banned in the US. But it is not only Europe. China has banned, our neighbor Sri Lanka has banned, large part of the world has banned, Codex has banned. So it is not about going and asking Americans what they have done and not done. Large part of world has done. International agencies have recommended to remove this chemical. They have given warning. The international body that sets standard for food commodity on global trade has said don't use this chemical. I think there is overwhelming evidence to say this chemical is not allowed, should not be used, and it is in the interest of industry to remove on its own. If Britannia removed it in 1995, well and good enough. We have found both iodate and potassium bromate and iodate in some of the products. We have put out the information.
How would you respond to companies, and a number of companies have come under the scanner, how would you respond to companies who have actually denied the allegation and said that they do not use it? And there are several in the list. Britannia is just one of them.
Nothing we have put. We stand by our result. We have put the result in the public domain.
Gentlemen.
And, the response and everything is there.
Yeah, Sunil, please come in. We can hear you. Please come in.
I'm sorry, you might have put it in. I'm sorry, you might have put it in the public domain. You have frightened everybody into saying that, look, somebody who's been eating the same bread for the last 50 years is now heading for cancer. Is that your purpose by putting it in the public domain? I'm asking your purpose. You should have gone to the law. You should have gone to the government, got the rule changed, told everybody you can't use it. That's it. It's very simple. You have actually panicked everybody. I'm sure of that. Please go around and ask the people if you haven't panicked them.
Sunil, first of all, you got your science completely wrong.
I'm not against you in saying that you must point out. Please. All right.
Yeah. So point number one, as a public institution, we are not in the business of doing hush-hush information sharing. Okay? We put information out in public domain. This is not the first study that we have done, Sunil. We have been doing these studies for the past 15 years.
Why is it?
Okay? And we have been quite successful working with industry and working with government in improving food safety standards in India. So it is important for you, Sunil, to understand that as a public institution, before releasing this study, we were in touch with FSSAI, we were in touch with industry, we were consulting with them. After doing all the consultation, we have put out the information. So it's not that we have not consulted, it's not that we were not in touch with FSSAI. After doing all those things, we have put the information out in public domain.
Sunil, if you can come in and tell me what is the kind of...
All right, can I ask you one question?
Go for it, Sunil, go for it.
Please.
No, I'm just asking one question to the gentleman concerned. We are on the same page. Look, your objectives are very clear and it is good. You must inform the public. You must do things which are right. That's all for it. But you must do it. Now, can you imagine, all right, from today onwards, no bread manufacturer is going to use this. You mean to say people who have been eating this bread for the last 60 years are heading for cancer? Is that what you're telling everybody? Please, you alarm people.
First of all,
I'm trying to say is, sure, if you've detected something, there was a point of time when they said, one minute. There was, can I just finish and then you can come in? There was a period when they said salt is bad. Everybody said, let's have K salt because this will happen. Then industry discovered it wasn't that bad. And then you carry on in life. Look, if there was something which you wanted stopped, and maybe one state in America has stopped it, I don't think the Americans are that ridiculous and so stupid because they'll be sued for millions of dollars by all the other states if it does lead to it, what you're saying. Look, please understand America a little bit. Just because you have said it, it doesn't mean America, everybody. Right now, Johnson's got sued because of some baby powder or something. It led to cancer. So that country sues everybody for millions of dollars. So don't think that they use this product and are not bothered about being sued. I mean, that's not a correct statement to make. So I want to repeat once again, what you're doing is a good job. But can you do it without alarming everybody? And even if you discussed it with the government, you mean the government took no action? They didn't want to change the laws? They didn't listen to you? Then raise it. Tell the government what were you doing for the last 7 months when you raised this issue? Industry would have by now may not be putting it in, or maybe they are, because as I said, Britannia and all stopped in 96. There's Cremica bread that doesn't use it. There are many breads that don't use it. How about highlighting in your news the following breads don't use it? or the following breads do.
No, Sunil,
And
but
then
according to
at
the
least
report,
people will then know that it's not
Sunil,
every
according to the
single bread, every single bun,
1 minute.
every single pizza.
Sunil, according to the CSE report, Britannia is actually under the
Yeah.
scanner. There have been traces found. But my larger question to you, and all your points are
Sure.
well noted. My larger question to you
Now,
is,
Can I respond to Sunil?
Sure, go for it.
Can I respond to
Yeah,
Sunil
yeah.
because he had
Sure,
asked,
sure. Go
he
for
had
it, Mr.
asked this
Bhushan.
question from
Yeah.
me. You know, you are first of all, food safety regulation in the US is not something that we should be emulating in any case. Okay. In fact, in number of areas we have much stringent food safety standard than the US. Okay. So as far as if US is using it, then there are 50 countries that are not using it. Okay. So Sunil, as far as argument in US is concerned, as I said, there are regulatory loopholes
enough.
which they cannot ban potassium
Yeah,
bromate.
yeah.
But there are 50 countries, there are countries across the world, international organizations which recommend countries not to use it, have recommended it. So I don't think just harping on the issue of US is using and therefore we should use it is not a correct argument to make here. As far as your other point is concerned that people are eating bread for 50 years,
No,
have
I'm
they got
not saying
cancer?
that, yeah.
The question is, do you have evidence to show they have not got cancer? Okay? Do you have an evidence?
but
There's
that
no
can't
study
be the
done.
argument, right?
Cancer
That
doesn't
can't be the
happen.
argument.
Sure.
That can't be the argument saying,
Yeah.
have
Do
they
you-
got
so
cancer?
do
but
you
not-
have argument
do
on
you
both
have
ways?
evidence to show they have got cancer?
It can't be an
Do
argument
you have
both
evidence? That's all. Right. That's all I'm
It
saying.
can't be an argument both ways.
Right.
It can't be an argument both ways. That's what I'm saying is there are chemicals which have been already declared as carcinogen. One is a class 2C carcinogen, other is likely to increase your exposure to iodine and therefore thyroid problem. These are established scientific facts. We are not going to reinvent science. These science is available for the past 30 years.
I'm
And
with you on that.
The more we
I'm
reduce
with
our
you on
exposure
that.
to these
Change
chemicals.
the law.
Yeah.
Change the law.
Change the law.
And therefore, we are very happy that
I'm saying
FSSAI
change
has
the
come
law.
out
I'm
and
with
said
you.
No, I think Sunil's grouse,
Yeah.
I think Sunil and both Mayank's grouse, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mayank, is really about the way this is being conducted, right? Because otherwise, it's a knee-jerk reaction. It seems to be random testing.
Absolutely.
There seems to be no process. There seems to be no method to the madness. And that really seems to be the larger issue. I mean, we're all for you,
I'm
for consumer safety.
I'm sorry, all your assertion that is a random process, knee-jerk reaction, these are not required for this discussion. I'm sorry to say that. Okay? I think there is a lot of work that goes into doing this. It requires huge amount of credibility to come out with the information. Please respect that.
Of course,
Okay?
but Chandra
Calling
Bhushan, the only
a
question
scientific
is that
experiment
were
and-
the
can I
stakeholders
just say-
you
aware
cannot
that you
use
were
that
doing
word.
this?
I'm sorry, don't use these kind
Can I
of words.
just say one thing?
I'm not on
In the
this
case of
platform
Nestle, there was
to argue
an
on
issue.
these
Can I
issues.
just finish? Can I just
please.
finish? Can I just? No, there's no argument. You're doing a good job. But if now, no, 1 second, if you go to any of the factories and they say we don't have anything like this in our bread, how have you found out that there is when, at least in some of the R&D units that in their factories, this ingredient should be there in the storage? You cannot fudge all records, not in Britannia or anywhere. Somewhere down the line, you will see that this product has been purchased and kept. Now, if they don't have it, what is your answer? Where does this come from then? I'm just asking you a very simple question.
Sunil,
Where if
for-
a company says from
No, no.
1996 we have never
Sunil,
used it.
we have got-
You please come to our factory and look at all
Sunil-
our records. Then can they question your findings?
Sunil,
That's all.
Sunil-
Can they question your findings then?
Sunil,
That's
first
all
of
I'm
all,
saying.
you must understand this was a test which, Sunil, this was a test which tested both potassium bromate and iodate. You would have banned bromate, but you would have continued to use iodate. Okay? So it's very important for you not to lose sight of the fact that we have a combined standard of potassium bromate and potassium iodate. Okay? So the standard of 50 ppm, either you use bromate or you use iodate. Both these chemicals have, one is likely to, is a class 2B carcinogen, other is likely to increase your intake of iodine and therefore thyroid related problems. So we are not going to make distinction that one is good and another is bad. So even when Britannia has stopped bromate, they might be using iodate. So that's the point number one. Point number two, industry themselves have come back to us and they say that a lot of improvers that is used are proprietary product. They are not aware what is inside them. This study actually helps them, and our interaction with them, to go back to supplier and ask right questions, that what is it that you are putting in the improver, okay? And then there are companies who buy flour from big companies. They are going back to them and asking them, okay? So this process of past 6 months has actually helped a lot of companies understand what they're using. Okay.
So I get your point.
That,
Chandra Bhushan, I think your point has been well noted, and I agree with you that it is a noble attempt by you. I have one question though. I have one question. How do you think this will, and Sunil, Mayank, you can come in if you want. How do you think this will impact the bread manufacturers' business? By your findings, and while you're saying that you have had conversations with them, don't you think the bread sales tomorrow will take a toll?
I don't think so.
I think that it is going to help bread manufacturer. I think it is going to help bread manufacturer. It is going to increase the confidence of people in bread. If they come out voluntarily, support FSSAI in saying that we are going to remove these two chemicals. These two chemicals are not required. Alternatives are available. We are shifting. It is going to increase huge confidence of people in this product. Yeah. I look at it from
completely
that
agree with. Yeah, I'll completely agree with what he's saying. So I don't think that that's really going to have any impact on, or if at all, it would be very momentary.
Without, but if it doesn't have an impact, then I think what you have done is not worth the effort. Because tomorrow morning, if I was an average consumer, I would stop buying this bread completely. That's the end of that factory till they don't change it. They have to close shop for a month. They have to sack people, they have to do all kinds of things. So I'm with you in saying there was a nicer way and a better way of doing it than the way you've done it. So it's not the question of that the interest of consumers should be killed, that you shouldn't do what you're doing. Please, for God's sake, there are ways of doing it and not this knee-jerk reaction out. Now that's it. Now every consumer decide for himself. We've told you, you have this, you've had it. Now, I mean, this is not the way it's done in any country. That's all I'm trying to tell you. It's you found something wrong, make the law change, tell the guys you've got 1 week because you've been selling it for 50 years. You've got a week or 2 weeks to finish off. Please go ahead and do it. And then that's it. You've achieved your objective.
No, agreed, Sunil. There is no debate on moderation that was required to...
Which was doing it when it was permitted. They were doing it.
No, agreed, Sunil. There was moderation that was required to...
They were not doing something when it was not permitted.
Yeah, so agreed. I think, there was moderation that was required to, probably make this information public. But what I feel is, as I earlier shared also, there are two things to the entire thing. One is that, consumer first, as I earlier said, all of us are here for, consumers at the end of the day. So, if potassium bromate and if potassium iodate are not good for them, then I think, it makes sense for FSSAI to have a law banning them. So there is no debate about it. I don't think there is anybody who's debating that.
I agree. Yeah. Stop it.
Yeah. So, and as you rightly said, they need to give some time to you. There is no question or there is no debate about the moderation.
I think the whole question is on the transition process and the way this is being executed and communicated. I think that is the larger question here. However, having said that, I'm running out of time and I need to wrap this discussion up. So I'm going to let all you gentlemen give me your closing comments. So I'll start with you, Mayank, and give me your, your closing headline comments on the issue and how this is being dealt, and of course the impact.
As far as the issue is concerned, as I said, there is no questioning the intentions. Intentions are right. There could have been moderation, probably in terms of, making it public or whatever. And in terms of, whether, this kind of thing should be done, not done or whatever, as I said, consumer first. And I think there should be a certain amount of leeway, or there should be certain amount of liberty, that should be given to companies in terms of self-regulation, allow them to decide what needs to be done, what cannot be done. So, if you have this kind of permissible limits, then I think, it's up to the companies to regulate themselves or self-regulate themselves. I think, we have corporates which are very responsible and they will definitely be, taking care of, not breaching the permissible limits and stuff like that. Otherwise, as I said, what you are doing in process is you are trying trying and killing the process of innovation.
Done. Got it. Let me come to you, Sunil, and then I'll give the last word to the gentleman, Chandra Bhushan. Your closing comments, your headline comments on this entire issue that is sprouted
they are
today.
doing a great job in helping consumers. Yeah. My headline comment is a very simple one. What they've done in the manner in which they've executed it, they've said you can't have your bread and eat it too. That's it. I'm paraphrasing what has happened in India now. That's it. So I agree with them in what they are doing, but please don't do it the way you've done it. That's all.
Fair enough. And last word to Chandra Bhushan.
No, first of all, I think I'm happy that both other panelists agree that this is an important work that has been done. We are on the same page as far as consumer safety is concerned, food safety is concerned. Let's agree to disagree in the manner it was done. We believe it is important to involve public in work which involves the interest of public. So let's end it by saying we agree to disagree on the manner.
Fair enough.
I just want to say, I mean, just to be fair to CSE also, I think at times it's also, a bit sensationalized. So I don't know whether, Sunil, as you said, whether those, words or headlines which were used in newspapers today were actually the ones which were given by CSE or were the creation of media. I don't know. So, I mean, just to be fair to, them as well.
This is the perfect end. I will shoot the messenger, but we're used to it. But, last words, really, thank you so much, all three of you gentlemen, for taking time out. Thank you, especially Chandra Bhushan, for, allowing us to debate this and, of course, ask you some important and pointed questions. Truly appreciate it. And thank you so much for being on ET Now.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/etnow.